Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Load of Balls, and I'm delighted to be joined by new Warrenpoint coach Mark Poland and ongoing assistant manager Pete. Is that your title for Rostrevor, or is it first team coach?
You can title it whatever way you want, John. It's an unpaid role, so the title's optional.
And of course, my right hand man Mark Fitz. Lads, upcoming down game. Got you on here for your vast experience, and Fitzy as well, because no one else will come on. But sure, look, we're here. We're here anyway, lads. I suppose that there's only one place to start, and it's about all the appointments going about the county. There's massive names taking jobs that have come up, and I suppose probably this is a good place to start with yourself. Can't believe I got lucky and got you on the show just as it was announced that you're now involved with Shane Holland and taking Warrenpoint. Big task. Now McLean done a fantastic job there for the past 4 years, and I suppose a player like yourself, it must have been a tough ask whether to play on or go into the coaching role.
Yeah, it was, John. I had picked up an injury against Carryduff, the first half of the Carryduff game, and had a partial tear in my cruciate from just an awkward challenge. And I think, thankfully, I've avoided surgery, but the knee still doesn't feel right. So it would have been a case of managing from game to game. And I'll be 36, I think, at the start of next season. And then obviously this opportunity come up, and it's probably something that I've thought about this last year or two. Just been in with the Down Miners and that there's just something that I feel I enjoy a lot more now than actual playing itself. And suppose it's something that I want to do and I want to progress in. So look, delighted to get in, and delighted to get into a club that's moving well at the minute. Played against them this last couple of years, and obviously watching them too. They're one of the teams that I enjoy watching them. The brand of football they play, and just the way they go about the game, So look, hopefully we can go in and hopefully progress again and see where it takes us. But it's probably an opportunity I just couldn't turn down.
No, Fitzy, it's one of the most sought after jobs in the county. Warrenpoint, obviously, so close to Kilcoo in recent years, beating them this year, and then just a kick a ball away from winning the championship final as well. But Shane Holden, friend of the podcast, was on numerous times last year. Knows his football, and obviously, Polian, one of the up and coming coaches in Down. So. It looks bright for Warrenpoint at the minute.
Yeah, I remember we debated in one of the podcasts, was it time for Warrenpoint to make that change, and they did. Getting on Shane, I know Shane had we were discussing about Warrenpoint. He had big faith in them. He definitely believed that they were very, very close to that elusive championship. But it's an appointment. It's Shane Holland knows how to win championships. He's won them as intermediates as a player at Ballyhone. He's won that intermediate as a manager with Rostrevor. Mark as well, obviously, was career in club and county experience, came to the Down Miners. So it's a very fresh looking setup for Warrenpoint. I think as well, they're near neighbours. Burn have made a big appointment confirmed today, Jim McCory. So it's going to be exciting now with the chasing pack in terms of how they can remodel themselves to close the gap in Kilcoo, which is a huge gap at the moment. So two huge appointments there for the neighbouring clubs.
Pete, with the two appointments, obviously Jim McCurry, as Fitzy was saying there, that's a bold move by Byrne and possibly a bold move by Jim as well. He's managed Kilcoo, Mayo Bridge as well. Byrne are obviously thinking that experience is the way to go here.
Yeah, listen, obviously both Warrenpoint and Byrne are highly ambitious clubs, so they've both made appointments with connections to Rostrevor. Shane Mulholland, who used to manage Rostrevor, and Jim McCurry, who lives in Rostrevor. But I don't think that's going to be enough to get them over us, whatever about any other team. On a more serious note, though, look, it's two clubs that have big ambition. There will be two management teams, Warrenpoint plus Jim and whoever he brings with. There'll be two management teams with a lot of ambition. Obviously, coming into a new job as well, there'll be plenty of energy and enthusiasm there. So I look forward to the challenge of playing those teams next year. I think sometimes when teams freshen things up, but it's good for the county as well. And the fact that there are so many big appointments within the club scene in Down, not just this year, but in the last 2 and 3 seasons, it shows that Down football is still something that people want to be a part of, and it maybe shows the level that Down club football is at the minute, which is quite a high one, I think.
There's been a lot of speculation and all that there, lads. I'm sure you are involved in WhatsApp groups and all as well, that things are coming through, and there's anticipation with every announcement, and you get names banded about all the time. And Paulie, I suppose yours was Shane was confirmed sort of early, and then yourself. Did you have much to convince him? Were you talking to Shane, whenever he was announced, or how did that go about?
I think it actually come to fruition that Ryan Boyle actually just sent me a message about 3 weeks ago, just to see what way I was thinking. And he just asked me, did he mind if I put my name forward as maybe a potential coach in a new management setup. I think Ryan, obviously from having played with him, he knows what I'm like on the pitch, and he knows what I expect when I play it, and it'll be the exact same, when I go in to coach these lads. And maybe he thought that I could bring something to the table, and then obviously Shane had found out then, I think, whenever he was maybe close to getting the job, that my name had been mentioned, and look, we had a chat or two, and I was impressed with what he said, and definitely in terms of coaching and in terms of the way he's talking about going around things, it's where I would come from myself, so it felt right speaking from him, and you're mentioning WhatsApp and that there too.
What is the policy now with WhatsApp and Warrenpoint? Is it going to be sent pigeon messages or something like that there now? Or
can't confirm that. But yeah, look, as a young ambitious coach, you couldn't really say no. Like, as I said, I played against them 2 years ago in a championship quarter final in Byrne. Stupidly played with an injury, and they were one of the strongest teams I have ever come across in my 20-odd years playing senior football. I was just impressed by a lot of aspects of their game, and about how pacey they were, how intelligent on the ball they were, and like they got so close that year. And then last year they were dealt with. You couldn't have picked a worse draw for them. Like they played all the top teams and probably just ran out of steam that last day against Kilcoo after going to extra time the game previous. So look, I love the way they play football, and hopefully there are things that I can see in their game that I would like to improve. And look, who knows where it'll take them. We're still chasing Kilcoo, and that's facts. They're the ones who have the medals and trophies to show. So it'll be a tough task, and it definitely will, but one I'm looking forward to.
No, it's definitely a great appointment, and fair play to you. Look forward to seeing Warrenpoint next year. So well done. Lads, I suppose the second division as well, there's an announcement there with Dark Cross, with DJ and Enda Gormley going down, Fitzy, to Dark Cross. So, you know, Enda Gormley, obviously from the Glen Club in Derry, and DJ, I know he was with the Down Hurlers. I think he was fitness coach or something there recently. So, you know, Dark Cross getting two big names in as well now.
Have indeed. Dar's target has got to be that they're back in the intermediate championship now next year. Now, the past 15 or so years, they've lost a couple of intermediate finals. Maybe 2 years ago, they were fancied to the intermediate and they got beaten in the semi. So there's that longing there in that club for that intermediate title. And they've brought on board two winners, you know, two All-Ireland senior winners with their counties. Enda's got a great record with Glen, with those famous Glen minor and under 21 teams at Derry and provincial level. So they've brought on board their two boys that know what it takes to win. So that's obviously the mentality they're looking. And I know with Dark Cross there, they'll have great commitment from the players and backing from the committee. But again, an ambitious appointment, but shows to mean business.
Yeah, no, and definitely. And your own club as well has appointed John Clark is going to cut his teeth at Dundrum, and we wish John all the best as well. Obviously, you know, he doesn't have much to do after Ryan McShane and yourself were in there. You have laid the foundations for him, so you know
it's all set up for him. Just have to walk in it.
No, so I wish John all the best as well, lads. Moving on, then I'll just be interested to see now where the next couple of weeks takes us, and you know, I'm sure that's not the last of the appointments. I think there's still a number of Division 3 clubs, and I think St John's in Division 2 are still on the lookout. So we'll keep our ears to the ground, as I say. But I suppose it's down football now, and like we have nothing really to base it on, because against Louth it was an experimental team that was put out, shall we say. Pete, were you surprised at the team that Paddy Tally put out against Louth?
I have to say I was, yes. Given that Down didn't have a game the week before, I thought he would have maybe given more football to players to get them up to match sharpness ahead of the Fermanagh game. However, I appreciate where he's coming from, in that he wanted to see some of his fringe players. Down were already promoted, Louth were relegated. It was an opportunity to do that without in any way affecting the league in terms of its integrity, because you weren't giving a team who had a chance of staying up and unfair advantage either. So I understand where Paddy's thinking was coming from. I did think personally that we may have looked to play a few more players who we would probably expect to see this weekend coming up. But in the end, look, Paddy will have seen who he wanted to. He will have learned things from that game. Obviously a disappointing result, but I do think there's a general feeling that if Down had to go and win that game, there probably would have been a different team on the pitch, and there probably would have been a different result.
Mm-hmm. Paulie, I think there was 6 or 7 debutants on that team. How difficult is it, you know, making your start for Down and, you know, being thrown in with 5 or 6 other boys?
Yeah, I can imagine it was extremely difficult. Now, just come back to when I started, you always wanted to sort of be in and around lads who had maybe been campaigners as such, like, and maybe made it a wee bit easier. So I probably can appreciate how difficult it probably felt for some of them lads, but I thought they acquitted themselves rightly. There wasn't an intensity to the game. You know, conditions weren't great either. As Pete says, like, Down really, it was more or less giving boys a game to see what they were made of, basically. Louth had probably a few more seasoned campaigners playing. So look, it would be a good test for them lads, but at the same time, you just have to wonder what way it'll impact this Down team going forward against Fermanagh next week. I don't personally think it should affect them too much. I don't think the game would have done any of the other more seasoned campaigners any good, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they would have played a couple in-house matches before next Sunday as well. So it just remains to be seen how they can perform in the day.
Who was your debut against, Paulie, and can you remember like who the how the result went and how you played?
Good question. I think my my senior debut. I'm thinking league here for some reason. My down debut was against Sligo in Markievicz Park under Paddy. Paddy's last game in charge of Down. Quite an infamous game where I think we scored 4 points in. So a baptism of fire for me. Let me tell you. The man took a barrage of abuse after that game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in fairness to him, he threw the likes of myself and Aidan Carr and Lab, I think, come on that day as well, you know. So, yeah, it was one that probably got me ready for inter-county football, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fortunately we had better days, but yeah, it was one of those days where, yeah, it was a baptism of fire, really.
Fitzy, I suppose that it was on TV and Down we're going to be playing Fermanagh, a couple of weeks after that. Do you think Paddy was just thinking to himself, we don't really need to show our hand just yet, and these boys have done well in training and we'll reward them with a game here against Louth?
I think we need to respect the decision he made and the team he put out. Let's not forget the team he put out. These boys are county footballers in their own right. And he had every right to put out the team he did to represent Down, and I wouldn't question him too much on that. It was a meaningless game in a sense, in terms of promotion secured. I think again, you don't always want to show your full hand as well. I'm sure what he's seen at training and in in-house games and in the challenge games that they've played, he's seen what he wants to see from the boys that are much closer to the starting 15. So it's a great opportunity, and let's not forget, I think there's 7 boys made their debuts for Down, and that's a proud moment for them and their families, and Paddy afforded them that opportunity. So I think we place trust in our county manager and that he's going the right way about things.
Because there was a lot of backlash, I will say, boys. I don't know how much credibility from people that were given off that Down were actually beat by Louth, and but there is merit, Pete, in giving these boys a chance and rewarding them.
Absolutely, and the thing is, if you're going to develop more county players or future county players, they have to get their debut somewhere. And in one sense, as Mark says, that was the perfect game to give that opportunity to a lot of players, as Paddy did. I think a lot of the criticism that the team has faced is definitely unfair, because at the end of the day, start of this season, Down's number one ambition would have been to finish the year in Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
They've done that. Most of the spade work was done pre-lockdown, but the job has been finished. Admittedly, yes, some of the work was taken out of Down's hands over the last few weeks, but Down did what they needed to do to get into Division 2. So the squad has achieved the first goal. The second goal they will have set will have been to beat Fermanagh. And that is now where their entire focus is. That is where their focus will have been as soon as they were promoted. So in terms of Paddy giving people game time, it's giving them opportunity to show him that they can offer something, and maybe as well to show the other players what they can offer, because sometimes a player can be looking around and maybe someone just into a squad who he hasn't played with yet, and he sees certain things and he's not sure about what he can do. Actually, to see that player playing a game will give the other players greater confidence in those players on some occasion as well. So there's definitely merit in what he did, and I think the proof of that hopefully will come on Sunday with a Down victory.
No, and fingers crossed. Boys, I suppose it'll be interesting just to see your take on how you think the team will take shape for the match on at the weekend. And Darren O'Hagan obviously is out. I think he's an operation on every part of the body. Paulie, would that be right? Saying like he's had his 30th birthday there, and just before I get the Aidan Carr, Darn, I did not have nothing to do with that voice note, so it was Aidan Carr put me up to it. So just to let you know. But happy birthday, by the way. Paulie, you know, it's going to be a massive loss, Darn, from this down team.
Yeah, he's it doesn't surprise me that boy's had get a few things sorted out, because every night at training and every game he played in for Down, he put his body on the line, and you'll not come across a better defender in Ulster his last 5 years or so. And I don't say that lightheartedly. I actually do think he would get on. He would. I'm not saying him actually. He would get on any county team in Ireland. He's that good a player, tenacious, good in the ball, a leader, and I think Down will miss him. But look, it gives somebody else a chance to step in and put their hand up as well, you know. But look, he's captain for a reason, and hopefully other boys can step up to the plate now in his absence on Sunday.
Could I be right in saying that Keelan Mooney is the captain if starting on at the weekend, Pete?
I think he is. Yes, that's correct.
Keelan obviously back from his injury as well, and you know it's going to be a massive boost for Down if he's playing. But boys, how do you think the defensive lineup, Paulie? Can you give us what?
Our Connor doesn't give too much away, John. Really, to me, you're probably going to base it around the team that was potentially going to start against Leitrim. In terms of bobbing goals, maybe Ryan McLean in one corner. Daniel Guinness maybe at 5. The two Fagans at 6 and 7. I'm not sure who's in full back.
Patrick Mordick.
Paddy Mordick could be full back.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick full back, and then I was looking at it today, completely 4.
Do you think Benny McCardle could start for his experience as well, pulling up in that back line?
Yeah. Depending, I think he's picked up a few injuries of that there, you know. So probably will come in for his experience, yeah. Middle of the field, you're probably going to have Connor and Johnny Flynn, and then a half forward line of Liam Kerr, Mooney, 11. I can't actually believe they're letting him wear number 11, but anyhow. Serious pace. And then obviously with Donald inside, along with Jerome, who has been outstanding in the Down Championship this year, Barry O'Hagan threw into the mix, along with James Guinness, maybe McCabe. You've options there, like you really do.
Yeah. Fitzy, I suppose it's the, you know, as Forty was saying there, you know, it's hard to nail down a Down team now because of all the options. I think Pierce Lavery's back from fractured cheekbone as well, so he'll be, you know, in the mix there as well. And you know, there is so many players that can come in and play different positions.
There is. We've also Kilcoo's Ryan McAvoy, who could slot in there all right at fullback or even a midfield. Dylan Ward, last day out, didn't do himself any harm in terms of putting himself into the frame, and you might see him get in there ahead of Johnny Flynn around the middle. Shane Annett, McCartan from Warrenpoint, again, won't be far away in the defence. I think Tally's big decisions are going to have to be up front, because you know, you've potentially, you know, Ryan Johnson coming into the equation, even Sheelan Johnson, not sure what the status is with Corey Quinn. So, you know, Liam Kerr, Mooney, Guinness, you know, there's so many options up there in the attack, and that's where it'll be interesting just to see. I don't think, you know, I know he'll not play 6 out and out forwards, but there's serious competition there in that forward line, which is definitely good for the team.
Yeah, Pete, this, like, you know, as Down have always been renowned for, you know, classy forwards and that, but how do we you know, mirror that in defence then? You know, there's Jerry Collins as well, Ryan McLean and back again in the Down fold, you know, after stepping away for a couple of months. You know, like there is plenty of options now. Kevin McKernan as well, you know, is he going to deploy the sweeper?
There's depth throughout the squad, and there's a good mix there. We're talking here about 3 or 4 players who are vastly experienced players who could be thrown in, And we're also talking about 3 or 4 players who are new to the thing, who have maybe shown enough that they could be thrown in. So there's options there in terms of whether you need a calm head, someone who's been there, seen everything and done it before, or if you're looking maybe someone to inject energy, inject pace into the thing. There's those kind of players there as well. You know, looking back, you mentioned Ryan McAvoy, and I know maybe after the Louth game, a few people criticising Ryan. I think that's a bit unfair because although Sam Mulroy kicked 1-7 for Louth, 6 points of that were from free kicks. And he's then gone and franked that form by kicking 1-7 for Louth in the championship last week as well. So I think Ryan fullback definitely is still a serious option for Ryan. Cormac McCartan at 6, I think, is again somebody who could play. Really, could play any of the defensive positions if Down needed someone to fill in at a certain area. You've mentioned the likes of Jared Collins, who I suppose could play a similar type of game to the type of game Darren O'Hagan would be known for playing as well, in terms of marking tightly, but also having that ability to get up the field. So there's defensive options. We are a little bit in the dark in terms of what way Paddy Tally's maybe thinking, because we have so little to base this on. But Fermanagh will be the same. They'll be looking at Down and saying, well, hold on, what way are they going to line up here? Which makes Fermanagh's preparation that bit more difficult as well. So perhaps this sort of ambiguity that there is around Down, this sense of mystique and intrigue, could actually be an advantage.
Mm-hmm. Paulie, you know, when in your time playing, you know, that the 2010 team was pretty nailed on. You know, there wasn't too many surprises. Even with the substitutes, we sort of knew what was going to happen. But you know, probably playing later on, then did you think, you know, 2 weeks into, will the boys know the team, and you know, what preparations goes into these 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'd say the lads probably do know the team. The last 2 weeks, the last week probably would have been a wind down more than anything. Your big chance probably would have come maybe the weekend before the game, if not maybe during that week with in-house matches and whatnot. But you usually would have a fair idea, maybe 1 or 2 positions of who was actually going to take the field. So I'm sure this week here will just be a wind down for them and just more or less probably focusing on a wee bit of Fermanagh maybe Tuesday night, and then complete focus on yourself from Thursday onwards, you know. So I'm sure Paddy and them men know what to expect. I don't think Fermanagh will differ from the way they've been the last couple of years. Men behind the ball, making it tough, trying to counter then, if possible, off Down's mistakes. So look, as I said, Down a serious pace in that forward line now, and hopefully the conditions don't hold that back and they're allowed to express themselves, you know. So it's a good test. It definitely is. It's a good test, and it'll show where Down are, you know, and hopefully we'll all be looking forward to a semi-final come close to play on Sunday. They
say a team merged their manager, and you know, how did you come up against Ricey on any occasions, and you know, how did you fare out?
I played a McKenna Cup game in Omagh, and he came on. I think this might have been after maybe the one they were Ireland, and I went for a ball, mucky pitch in Omagh, and won the ball, laid it off, and then 2 knees come down the back of the head. So, that was the only time I encountered him. I'm not sure if he played. We played Tyrone in 2010 in Casement. I'm not sure if he was playing that day. I'm not 100% sure. He could well have been, but I wasn't anywhere near.
You kept your distance. Pete, Fermanagh, you know, you had your spell there with Fermanagh, and you know, has the turnover of players been noticeable, and you know, what can we expect from this Fermanagh team?
There has been a very small turnover of players, actually. Comparatively speaking, when you look at how much other teams would have changed in those three years it is now. Fermanagh is a small county. They only have 20 clubs, so their pick is limited. And, you know, when you read the Fermanagh Herald, as I would most weeks, the match reports.
See if
I know you're laughing, Mark.
See if you're still getting a
It's
mention, Pete.
interesting. No, see, we were in Fermanagh for 4 years, and I never once read the Fermanagh Herald. But there's a man in Irvinstown who works in a place called the Bonacre Centre, George Beacom. And ever since Pete left Fermanagh, every single week he has posted him a copy of the Fermanagh Herald. So we read it when it gets here. But what I was coming to was that the match reports of the club games in Fermanagh still generally feature the players as the star men who were on the county squad when we were there. Now, what Mark said about Fermanagh the last couple of years playing defensively is correct, but I think Fermanagh are a county who are underappreciated in terms of the quality of player they have. In Owen Donnelly, I think they have one of the top midfielders in the country. Now, he's obviously Owen's 31 maybe now, but he's maybe starting to reach going just towards the end of his peak, but he is still an absolutely top-class midfielder, and partnered there by Ryan Jones, who's obviously spearheaded Derek Donnelly to their 5 in a row until that was interrupted this year within the county. So they have one of the, definitely I would say Fermanagh have possibly the best midfield in Ulster with those two in there. Players like Aidan Breen, Declan McCusker, very hard-working players, but also exceptionally talented. These are players who know what it takes to win championship matches. These are players who, in their careers, maybe of now 7, 8, 9 years at county level, have not lost very often at Brewster Park. So there's definitely going to be a challenge there. This is not going to be a case of Down going and recording an easy win by any means. There have been some younger players come in this season. Young Josh Largo Ellis, Lorcan McStravick, Luke Flanagan, and likes of Callum Jones is on the squad as well. And that will give maybe a challenge to some of those people in terms of holding their positions on the team. Tomas Corrigan has been pretty much their scorer-in-chief in the last couple of matches. But a lot of that, again, coming from place balls. So if Down can avoid giving away free kicks, I think Fermanagh won't register an awful lot from play. And I think defensive discipline will go a long, long way to winning this game for Down at the weekend.
No, yeah. I hope Mark Dorn's going to watch this, Pete. You've just done a scouting job for him there. You know, he doesn't have to do too much this coming week.
Well, there's a few more, but well, look, I think Down will overall. I've talked Fermanagh up there. You nearly think they were going to win the All Ireland, but no. Look, Fermanagh are a good team. I think at the minute Down are a slightly better team, and I would expect Down to win the game on Sunday by a couple of points.
Yeah, I suppose that, like, you know, was said about Down now are getting strength and depth in the squad, and like, I know the result didn't happen against Louth, but you know that them young lads, the likes of Shane Annett, Ross Carr Jr., you know, Dilly Ward, Shailen Johnson, you know, the list goes on, boys who are just itching to step up. And I suppose probably it is, you know, exciting times for Down. They're just on the cusp of something, I think.
Yeah, look, all the players you've named there, they're all in a good age profile. Some of them not too long out of minor. And look, the big thing for me is they need to stick at it. I always say that, you know, playing inter-county football is like doing your apprenticeship. There's lads who have come on to county panels and have expected to walk straight in because they're maybe one of their club's best players, and that's just not the way it works. Like, you know, you need to stick around. You need to be thick-skinned. You need to accept that you're not going to maybe play as much as you would like. And then when your opportunity does arise, you need to grab it with both hands. And then obviously when you do get your place, you're trying to hold on to it. You're trying to show and train and see then that, you know, boys who have had long distinguished careers have shown, you know, throughout the years, because it isn't easy. Like, it definitely isn't easy. And these are the games here you're probably judged on. This year, look, we're just grateful to have some sort of football. But like, as you were talking about there, you're never too far away from criticism and Down, even when games don't mean anything. You know, there's always somebody there looking to take a bite out of you. But I suppose that comes from playing inter-county football, like, you know, and you just need to be thick-skinned and deal with it. But look, from working with the minors last 2 years and seeing what's coming up through the 20s, if them lads, if they stick at it and they come together under a great management team over the next couple of years, it will be exciting, and it will be something to look forward to, definitely.
Fitzy, you know, I've sort of talked you in again to being more involved with Down and looking forward to Down. You know, after, you know, I think you had a bit of sabbatical yourself from the senior game. So, you know, what's your expectations now? You know, you've been looking at the players in the leagues and championship. You know, how do you think? What's a good year for you?
This is a tight game for Down this, and I think it's going to be a slippery one because there's not going to be much in this. And my only worry for Down is that if it's a wet day and that in Brewster Park, Fermanagh the home advantage, and it gets physical, that's a worry I have. Because Down have a lot of fleet-footed players on that team, and my worry would be if it gets into a physical battle, there could be difficulties for Down. But again, there's a good panel there. I'd imagine Paddy Talley will be able to use his full complement of subs because there's enough talent on that bench, so he'll be able to keep the thing fresh. They talk about this weak side of the draw, but there's nothing weak about this side of the draw. Cavan are just after beating Monaghan, and likely they'll get over Antrim. So, you know, you've Cavan in there. Don't forget, a couple of years ago, Fermanagh got an Ulster, you know, senior final as well. So this is not. I don't think there is a weak side of the draw in the Ulster Championship. So if Down do get over Fermanagh, which is possible, you know, it's likely he's going to be meeting with Cavan in a semi-final, and it is an opportunity to get an Ulster final. But like to get over Fermanagh and Cavan, it's too big asks. But my only thing, I keep talking about what ifs, but this Down team's a good emerging team. There definitely is, you know, the nucleus there of something building, but it's just a pity that the two best defenders in the county, and Aaron Brannigan and Darryl Brannigan, aren't on the team. And one of the most effective players in the county, Eugene Brannigan, is. And see if you had those three boys in the mix, and I know we've talked about this the previous few years, everything in the county, those three boys, four boys, Brannigans on the county will make such a difference. But could you imagine that Down team going into Fermanagh, them three boys, and you start 15? But that's what ifs. Down could just get over this, and a potential meeting with Cavan, I think, would be what everybody would like to see, and everybody would roll behind.
Oh, and definitely, and you know, the weather is going to be a leveler, man, and you know, we're seeing their poorly. You know, my heart went out to Conor actually against for Monaghan. You know, you could see 7 points up. You know, they were just keeping the ball, but you know, these things happen in football sometimes. Like whenever you go into that shell and you're caught between, do we attack, do we keep the ball, and so ultimately, Cavan just pegged them back with some great scores from distance. But you know, if that wind hadn't been there, and you know, it's just one of them things.
Yeah, look, actually, was just speaking to somebody earlier about the Donegal and Tyrone game, and just about how you would love to have watched it in the middle of the summer, hard ground, and who knows what end it would have took. And I think the Cavan and Monaghan game would have been the exact same. You know, you're definitely right there in terms of the elements. They make them 50-50 encounters, and who's to say that on Sunday against Fermanagh there's not a gale blowing down the field as well, you know. So I was just watching the Cavan Monaghan game, and even though Monaghan were in the lead, they had a couple of opportunities, maybe half goal chances where they fisted the ball over the bar, and I'm sitting looking at myself going, that's not Conor Laverty, like that ball would go only one place that ball's going. And I was thinking to myself, is this going to come back and haunt them, you know? Probably the safe option at the time, but ultimately it probably did come back and bite them, you know. And fair dues to Cavan, like they never threw the towel in, and what a kick to win it in the end. Like
the standard of the Donegal and Tyrone, probably I suppose is the athleticism of them men now is scary too. Like they're just like there must be like most of them are about 6 foot and 15 stone now, and don't get up and down the pitch. Michael Murphy was something else, wasn't he?
Yeah, to me, he's been the most consistent footballer, I think, in Ulster anyway, and if not Ireland over his last 10 years, easy. They've basically just from maybe their team that's won in 2012 and won a few Ulsters after that. It's just a completely new team that's come through, bar a few, and he's the focal point. He is their talisman. There's no question about that. And how he has changed his game, I suppose, as well, from being an out-and-out full forward to coming out and just, I don't know what sort of a role. Does he play midfield? Does he play half forward? He just seems to be everywhere, and he's a man mountain. He's very, very difficult to dispossess, and for such a big man, he's very explosive. He can move with the ball. He's probably everything you want in a Gaelic footballer, and them boys they feed off him, and it wouldn't surprise me if they had a major say in the All-Ireland series this year.
Were you surprised with Donegal's win, or were you surprised Tyrone ran them so close?
No, I knew it was going to be close. I think people maybe underestimate Tyrone a wee bit nowadays. I don't know why. They're always very, very difficult to play against. Few questionable decisions maybe made along the line about substitutions as well. I don't know. I can't. Maybe obviously this is just looking from the outside, but Peter Hart's one of the best wing half backs in Ulster. Whenever he played there, and he seemed to be playing him in the forward line now, where he's easily bottled up and gets more attention than what he maybe should. But I think Donegal just have that slight wee edge over them for some reason. I don't know if it's mental or what it is, but look, they're a very good team, and home advantage probably had a lot to do with it too. Just this familiar surroundings of Ballybuffet and big physical team, but a lot of experience there as well.
Pete, the Tyrone match, I seen. I was very interested in McFadden's role for Donegal. He got through a mountain of work, and they seemed to win that middle sector, didn't they? And that's sort of where the turn of the tide was.
Well, a lot of games now come down to that middle eight and the amount of ball that a team can take out of there and send forward, because that jungle, if you like, from 5 to 12, it's a battleground, particularly now in winter football, in this winter championship, and you need hard work, you need physicality in there. And I suppose to relate that to Sunday's game, I mentioned the Fermanagh midfield, and you have the likes of Richie O'Callaghan and Stephen McGullion, who are all big physical players, and Down will need to counter that with their own size in there. So I think the likes of McKernan will definitely have a role to play here. You mentioned Benny McCardle as well. And Down are going to need those kind of guys to come in and win the physical exchanges in that middle area. They also need that mobility, though, to carry the ball from there, to get it forward, because if you want to get it up to your front men, to your danger men and your scorers, at this time of year, it's not necessarily going to be a 50-yard kick pass with a one nice bounce straight into the man's chest, because you'll have wind, you'll have the ball skiting off a wet pitch. It's going to take serious hard graft and serious effort. And that is the challenge for every team. Donegal mastered that on Sunday. Tyrone were very, very close to winning the game, and one or two wee breaks of the ball, and that game could very, very handily have gone the other way. But Donegal were exceptional in terms of graft from even number 1 right through to 15. The goalkeeper's an exceptional keeper, and but throughout the team, out the field, what you see the work rate that those guys put in from minute 1 to the very, very end. That's the standard that Down, that Fermanagh, that all other counties in Ulster have to aspire to, and for ourselves in Down, that starts on Sunday.
Let's see the two games. Were you surprised that Cavan actually defeated Monaghan, and the quality of the Tyrone Donegal match in them conditions as well? Were you surprised with that?
I fancy Monaghan to beat Cavan for a few reasons. Number one, when Conor Lavery, he having those boys so well drilled, but Monaghan made a lot of big uncharacteristic mistakes, kept taking the ball into the tackle a lot. Things that just one of those days, and Calvin got it nipped in the end there. But Calvin in the final last year against Donegal.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, they're no slouches. The Tyrone Donegal game, my God, it was physical. You're really starting to see now. The makeup of an inter-county player is, you're talking this nearly the majority 6 foot plus, supremely well conditioned over a couple of years, has the fitness to go the 70 minutes plus, and these are becoming nearly like a prototype in these counties, like Donegal and the high emerging counties. But Donegal rightfully now favourites for Ulster. The interesting one is, will Mickey Hart stay on with Tyrone? That's going to be interesting just to see whether he decide to walk away, because I think the decision ultimately lay with him. But Donegal are against Armagh now. You fancy Donegal get through to an Ulster final, but again, we're talking if Down can get the rub of the green and somehow get by Fermanagh, build momentum into a potential game against Cavan. It'd be great to see this winter a Donegal Down Ulster final. Really would. I think they maybe played in the final in 2012, 8 years ago. Mark probably remembers, but it'd be great to see just Down getting another final.
It would. Probably Armagh and Derry then. Obviously, it wasn't as quick or as I don't know if it was as intense as the Tyrone and Donegal, but still Armagh are a serious outfit.
Look, they're not bad. They've got promotion into Division 1. They've won their first round. I'm sure they'll fancy their chances within, as all Armagh sides would. It was great to see Jamie Clark sort of back, up at the top end of the field. And, there was a point he scored in the second half, cutting in from the sideline. And that's what I think they need more of, trying to keep him closer to the goals. Obviously, they have their own plan and that there. And probably trying to mirror Donegal with probably one eye on them, from further back. So it'd be a big challenge for them. It would be a big challenge for them, and it wouldn't surprise me if the game was a lot closer than what some people would expect either. But the big thing from Armagh is discipline at the back. To me, they give away far too many frees, and they're going to be seriously punished if they do that again against Donegal. They'll be getting in as underdogs, which I think suits them better as well. So it'll be an intriguing battle now, and obviously they'll be looking to build even further under Kieran this year.
Pete, the scoreable freeze, obviously, kept Derry in the game. Were you surprised that Rory Gallagher didn't throw the kitchen sink even with the last 5 minutes or so? He just seemed to be happy to get it. It was all about that last kick out, really, wasn't it? If they won it, and get an attack and get the draw.
Not surprised at all. I think we've all seen enough of Rory over the last 3 or 4 years to know exactly what way he's going to play, and that doesn't change. I think in terms of the scoreable free kicks, Derry actually missed one early in the second half. That was a relatively straightforward free, and had that one gone over, then at the end, obviously, they're that point closer, and the score that ultimately pulled them to within one would have pulled them level. Derry's shooting from play was very erratic. In the time that Armagh were down to 14 with the sin bin for Jamie Clark, Derry kicked 4 wides. A couple of them were really, really bad wides. Brendan Rodgers had one where he came up the right-hand side of the field and had the beating of his man, but shot off balance and actually missed the ball stop. And that's one of Derry's most experienced players. I was very disappointed with what Derry offered, actually. I thought Derry looked a very, very average team. And I think I wouldn't be getting carried away with Armagh beating them, to be honest with you. I think at the minute, Donegal will definitely come out of that side of the draw. And I think Tyrone, you're looking at Donegal, Tyrone as the best 2 teams in Ulster. There's no doubt about that. But I think the next 3 strongest teams are all in the other side of the draw. In Cavan, Monaghan, who are now gone, and I think Down, hopefully. So I think Armagh, yes, they beat Derry, but I think they beat quite a poor Derry team, particularly on the day. And that's not something that I'll be getting carried away with.
But I suppose, like people saying there about the free kicks, and the interesting thing from the Louth game was Donald O'Hare wasn't actually taking the free kicks. It was by O'Hagan, and I'm just wondering, what you're reading into that.
Honestly, I don't know. Was it the conditions? Was Barry hitting them? I know I caught the end of the first half, and he kicked one over from the left hand side. I don't know. I honestly don't know. To me, Donald would be my choice for hitting frees. Barry can hit them off the ground from further afield. I'm not sure. Was he carrying an injury? If he was, he probably wouldn't have been playing. I don't know. I really don't.
It was just an interesting one. I just was surprised myself, Pete. It was
possibly tie in with the way Down approached that game. It was just something they wanted to try. Mm-hmm. They wanted to give Barry the opportunity of hitting free kicks in a county game to see how he coped with it, and he scored 4. Mm-hmm. So he did all right.
No, I'm just surprised that Donald's been doing it for years for Down, and then it was he was on the pitch. But I suppose Fitzy, as Pete says, maybe it was sometimes maybe Donald's not playing, who's going to hit the frees, and it's another option for them.
Look, it was a situation created. Maybe try to put Barry O'Hagan under a bit of pressure, see how he coped with the responsibility of taking the free taking, and you do that in an in-house game. But sure, why not do the National League game and test him out? And I think he came through with pretty well with the task that was handed to him. But again, without trying to overanalyze or look too much in it, that's Mike just what it was. To give O'Hagan that platform to see how he went with the frees and just test him out a bit, see what his battle's like.
Just on the final note of what we expect from Down, there's a lot of criticism about the kick out strategy for Down, hitting the box. Porty, are you a fan, do you think there might be something else in this match?
Yeah, you would like to think so. It's one that baffled me last year, especially against Louth, whenever they needed to win to go up, that they persisted with this kick out until the last 5 minutes when they did go short. I think maybe Bubba a bit more experience under his belt now and probably not afraid to go short as anymore. But that all comes down to the options you have out the pitch as well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure that it's probably something that they have worked on over this last couple of weeks, couple of months, because like everybody knows now that kickouts are so important to how you play basically and the opportunities that you create. So I would like to think so, and I'd also like to think the boys will show the responsibility to go and demand the ball, want the ball, no matter what the scoreline is in the game, whether it's tight, whether Down are winning or they're losing. One thing that Darren O'Hagan, their captain, would never shy from too. So look, it's a massive part of the game, and it's probably one thing that I would like to see the Down team maybe excel at a wee bit more, such as is their kickouts, because there's no doubt in the quality they have over the field, but primary possession is key nowadays, and Down probably have suffered in that there this last while, and that just doesn't go for the two midfielders. That there's your 6 or 8 around the middle, break ball and things like that there too. So look, I know they will have more than one kick-out strategy, and it's just about getting those calls on the day and executing them, and as I say, sort of building from there.
But I suppose with Bubba, being Castleman goalkeeper now, I suppose that was important for him as well, to get a full season as we had in that.
Yeah, he got the COVID season in that. I know he had spells outfield for Castlewell and that, but I think probably you do, especially if you're playing Division 1 Senior Championship Club football, you need to be playing more or less in the position that you're going if you are in the county panel. I think that makes sense. Just on another point, and this is maybe a theory I have, but because this is this kind of winter football and looking at the past decade or so and Cuckoo's experience in Ulster Club Championship football around this time of the year, I don't think it would do any harm for Paddy Tally, maybe barring those 6 or 7 Kilkenny boys from near enough the start for this game against Fermanagh. These boys have proven that they can do it at Ulster level, and it's similar football, similar sort of conditions, similar, setup. That might be something that Tally might look at, looking at the Kilkenny boys and using their experience to the advantage in Brewster Park and bringing them as more like the likes of Sheelan and even Paul Devlin there, throwing them into the mix at some stage, just to use that experience the two have had playing in these situations. But again, that might be asked if you want to put 6, 7 boys into the mix from one club.
Pete, do you think Fitzy's got a Kilkenny jersey on him there? Or
he's had it on all year. He must be looking at a job, is he?
In the foreman.
Mickey Moran's right hand man. The lads, predictions then. It'd be great to see a 10-point win against Fermanagh, but realistically, is it going to happen, Pete?
Nope, not a 10-point win. Down will win. I think Down will win the game. And in one sense, Down are very unfortunate that there's no supporters there, because half of the people in Fermanagh actually support Down anyway. And that goes back to the 60s when Down knocked Cavan off their perch as Ulster kingpins. But in Fermanagh, when we went there, this was the most amazing thing, was that people there were actually more interested in how Down were doing almost than how Fermanagh were doing. And I think even so, if Down win the game, the people of Fermanagh will still be happy enough anyway. So yes, I'm going for a Down win by 2 points.
So your statue be all right, Pete, whenever Down win then? Is that what you're saying?
It'll be painted half red and black and half green and white.
Foley, never mind Pete's statue. The predictions for the game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight too. I'm going to go for Down win by 3. It's not an easy place to go, but I just think with the pace Down have up front, I can see them maybe create a couple of goal chances, and as I say, Jerome, if he can carry his club form into the game on Sunday, then we will see the net rattle a couple of times, no doubt about that. So I'm going to go for a Down win, 3 to 4 points.
Probably just on that, we had a discussion a couple of weeks ago whenever the championship was going on about the renaissance of Jerome. Did you ever find that yourself, that you were playing and it just wasn't happening for you, and then all of a sudden it goes again? Like,
yeah, loads of times, right? Loads of times. But what's the saying? Form is temporary, class is permanent. Like, and he's shown that this year. He did probably go through a wee blip, but he's had a few operations. I think he had one in the shoulder, and it's anyone who's had it. I've been lucky enough, like, that I can't use the injuries as an excuse because I haven't had too many of them. But it does take a wee while getting back into the swing of things, and he's shown his quality this year, and it's good to see Ryan back in as well too, because I think he can add something to the fold as well. And Sunday, I actually forgot about him now whenever we were going through the team earlier. So another lad who's an abundance of talent when he puts his mind to it, and gets on the ball and actually drives forward. He's very, very hard to stop. So you can imagine him, Mooney, and Liam Kerr running that Fermanagh defence on Sunday. Like, it's some weapon to have.
It is. No, it's. But it would have been nice to see on a dry, sunny day. Going to Brewster Park, but are these lads going to get the chance to run at this Fermanagh defence, and how do you see a Down win?
Do you know what? It's hard to bloody know, isn't it? It's
that's what you're on for, Fitzy.
We're basing on very little. I think the bookies have Down slightly on the favourites tag. I wouldn't rule out a sort of extra time scenario here. I don't think this is going to be high scoring. I think chances are going to be at a premium, and if the weather is not great, it's going to lend itself to a low scoring game. Don't rule out extra time, but you're hoping that it'll start a whole new kind of progression for Down, but you hope a Down win.
No, great stuff. So I heard first panos for Fitzy, so Hope not, lads. Thanks a million for coming on tonight. We'll get this on again and see how down progress. Just on a couple of final notes, Paulie, congratulations with all the fundraising for your Martin. It's fantastic amount raised and fair play to you. You've done a half marathon.
Yeah, we did the half marathon last Sunday, and I was only supposed to do 6 miles, so I ended up doing the whole lot. So Mickey Walsh isn't going to be too happy with me, But yeah, look, I suppose it was probably another reason for taking the coaching role too. The family's been hit with a big blow this last couple of months, and it puts things into perspective for me. So I delighted with how the fundraiser went, and I would just like to thank people who maybe are tuning into you that have donated and that too, because we raised, I think, maybe 15, 16 grand, and then there's a few other donations that Mary Louise has and her niece has as well, so we could be touching 20 grand for an absolutely first class charity. So we're delighted. So thank you to anybody who donated.
No, it was it was great. It's great to see, and I think Liam McKibben needs a couple of more runs. He wasn't happy with his 10k or his half marathon time, so Liam have to work a wee bit harder in pre-season now to get up to scratch. But
Benny will work him hard. Sorry.
But no, great way to remember Mark, and fair play to us. Pete, you're back in again then for another year. What's the goals? I always ask you what's the goals, and it never changes. But what's the realistic goals this year?
Well, I said it last year. I said it again. I think it is realistic that we challenge for a championship. But to do that, it's as clear as day. We have a 6-point deficit against we could overturn this year. We feel we didn't do ourselves justice that day, but it's all right feeling that way. You've got to go out and prove that. And that's going to take a lot of hard work from a lot of people. It's going to take a serious effort from players, from management, from the club. And then we'll see where we are. Look, nobody really knows even what shape next year is going to take yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see how that pans out and stuff. But we're ambitious, and that certainly won't change.
No, good stuff, Pete. Paulie, I suppose the minors is up in the air as well. He's targeting January, it was a hard pill to swallow, that one.
Do you know what? It was probably one of the biggest disappointments I've had in a long time. We left the training park Esther the Tuesday night before it, and on Wednesday morning when the news came through, it was just like somebody had punched you in the stomach, and I just couldn't imagine how them young lads felt, because people don't realise that this lockdown and everything else has affected those young lads something serious, and there has been a couple of lads who have been really, really affected by it, from speaking to parents and whatnot. So the release them young lads been back out in the field, and then obviously when we got closer to the game, there was just this buzz about the training that it was just brilliant to see amongst a group of young lads. We had just finished like a bit of an in-house game on the Tuesday nights, and the lads were getting a bit of gear on the Thursday night, and then for that just to be stripped away so close to the game was just heartbreaking. So I'm just hoping now and praying that they get to go ahead with the competition at some stage, because as I said to you earlier about talent not coming through, there's so much talent in this group, and they just have a brilliant attitude. They're an absolute pleasure to coach now, and I just hope that they get the chance to pull on that red and black jersey. So look, we're hopeful that it'll still go ahead and help our, hopefully, we're not disappointed, so yeah.
It's Fitz, I think it's being touted about January, but being involved with a team yourself, and it is a hard one even for management whenever games are pulled or even the competitions are pulled. Like, it must have been just like, how do you refocus again for them young fellas?
Tough, and especially on 16, 17-year-olds, just look back to when you were that age, and you get excited for club minor games, and not to mention this is county level now, and I think from all accounts this was probably one of Down's strongest teams at that level in a long time. So there's even potential of an Ulster title there as well. Like we haven't won one of them at minor level since '99. So
no pressure, Paulie. He says there's going to be an Ulster title, so we'll get it in January.
Yeah, so look, hopefully they go again and we'll do, the new year 2021, and the managers could get it run off in a time frame, and so those boys do not miss out, because they don't want to look back in years to come, because we never got to play our under 17 championship. It would be great for them if it did go ahead in some shape or form.
No, definitely will, boys. And lads, thanks a million. We'll wait and see how Down get on this knockout championship. It's knockout football. It's great. And I hope Down actually, the Down Championship, Club Championship, actually takes this format, because it's do or die, and it'd be great to see it Down win. Thanks a million, man.
Thanks, John.